Libra, let me ask you something. Have you noticed it? That subtle shift, the distance, the feeling that someone or something is quietly pushing you away. Not loudly, not all at once, but just enough to make you uncomfortable, just enough to make you question where you belong. And here's the part that hurts the most. You didn't do anything wrong, yet you're the one being edged out, left wondering why the energy suddenly changed. Libra, listen closely. This isn't rejection. This isn't punishment. This is pressure. And pressure only shows up when something in your life is no longer meant to hold you. If this message found you now, it's because what's about to happen next will make everything finally make sense. Stay with me. Trust yourself. And if this already feels personal, you're exactly where you're meant to be. Libra, stay right here with me for a moment. I want you to breathe, not the kind you force, the kind that happens when you finally stop holding everything in. Because what you are feeling right now is not chaos. It only feels that way when you are still standing inside it. You see, when life begins to press against you, it rarely announces itself. It doesn't knock loudly. It doesn't explain. It shifts the air. People feel colder. Rooms feel smaller. Conversations tighten. And suddenly, you no longer fit where you once belonged. And that's the part that confuses you most. Because you didn't change overnight. You didn't become difficult. You didn't suddenly ask for too much. You simply outgrew a space that could only hold an older version of you. Libra, I need you to hear this clearly. What feels like rejection is actually redirection. Life applies pressure only when staying would cost you more than leaving ever could. Think about how long you tried to keep things balanced. How many times you softened your truth so others wouldn't feel uncomfortable. How often you stayed quiet just to keep the peace. You were strong enough to endure it, but endurance was never the goal, because balance is not about shrinking yourself to match unstable ground. Balance is about standing where your weight is finally supported. And now, the ground beneath you is shifting. That distance you feel is not meant to isolate you, it is creating space. Space for your voice to return. Space for your instincts to speak again. Space for your inner compass to recalibrate after years of carrying other people's expectations. There is a reason everything feels slightly unfamiliar. You are standing at the edge of a threshold, one foot still touching what you know, the other already sensing what comes next. And yes, this part can feel uncomfortable, because growth does not arrive gently, it arrives honestly. But listen to the quiet truth beneath the tension. You are not being pushed away from life. You are being pulled toward alignment, toward a version of yourself that does not have to explain their worth, toward connections that don't require constant effort to survive, toward a rhythm that feels natural again. If you've been wondering why your tolerance suddenly dropped, why you can no longer accept half answers or empty promises, why your soul feels tired of pretending everything is fine, this is why. Something inside you has already decided you deserve more light than that. And what's coming next does not arrive through force. It arrives through clarity. Through the moment you finally stop asking why you don't fit anymore and start realizing you were never meant to stay there this long. So, stay with me. Because once you understand why this separation had to happen, the next chapter reveals itself in ways you never expected. And that's where the real shift begins. Libra. There is something quietly powerful about this moment, and I want you to notice it. The world feels a little quieter now, not empty, just less crowded. You may be spending more time alone than you expected, more evenings where no one tells you what to do next, more mornings where the decisions are yours and only yours. And at first, that can feel unsettling, because for a long time, you were the one adjusting, reading the room, smoothing the edges, holding the balance so everyone else could stay comfortable. But now that the noise has faded, something else is beginning to speak. It is subtle at first, almost easy to miss. A thought that feels like your own. A preference you no longer apologize for. A boundary that forms without effort. This is not loneliness, Libra. This is sovereignty. It is the quiet return of your center. When there is no one pulling at you, no one projecting their expectations, no one arguing for space inside your mind, you finally hear the rhythm you forgot belonged to you. Your breathing changes. Your body relaxes in ways it has not in years. And slowly, you remember what it feels like to make a choice without second guessing, to want something without explaining it. You begin to notice how often you were carrying weight that was never yours to hold. How many times you mistook responsibility for love. How often you stayed because leaving felt unkind. How deeply you believed your value lived in keeping things together. But Libra, balance was never meant to be self-sacrifice. And now that you are standing on your own ground, something important is happening. Your intuition sharpens, your taste refines, your tolerance for misalignment quietly dissolves. You are not becoming colder, you are becoming clearer. This space around you, it is not a void, it is a canvas. And in this stillness, you begin to feel a different kind of confidence rise. Not loud, not performative, just steady. You stop asking who needs you and start asking where you feel most alive. You stop wondering how to be accepted and begin to recognize where you are already respected. There is a calm authority growing inside you now. A sense that you no longer need permission to trust what your inner compass has been saying all along. And this is where the shift deepens, because when you reclaim yourself like this, the world responds differently. Paths begin to open that were invisible before. People appear who do not require you to explain your worth. Opportunities find you when you are no longer chasing approval, not because you tried harder, but because you finally stopped abandoning yourself. Libra, this chapter is teaching you something sacred, that your presence is not meant to be negotiated, that your peace is not a reward to be earned, that your life begins to move again the moment you choose alignment over endurance. Stay here with this feeling. Let it settle into your bones. Because as you stand more firmly in who you are, something beyond you begins to move toward you as well. And when it arrives, you will understand why this quiet season was necessary, why the separation mattered, why the silence prepared you. We are just beginning to touch the surface of that story now. Libra, something inside you is waking up now, not all at once, not dramatically, but gently. Like light returning to a room that's been closed for too long. You may notice it in small ways at first. A sudden curiosity, a pull towards something you used to love, a thought that says, what if I tried this again without worrying how it looks to anyone else? Your energy feels lighter these days, less guarded, less compressed. It is not that your life suddenly became easier. It is that your spirit is no longer fighting itself. You are remembering how to move at your own pace, not rushing to meet expectations, not slowing down to make others comfortable, just listening and following that quiet yes inside your body. There is a reason this feels unfamiliar. You have spent so much of your life refining yourself for balance, for harmony, for fairness. But in doing so, some of your natural colors faded into the background. Now they are returning. Your creativity stirs again, not as pressure, as invitation. You may feel drawn to music you once loved, words you forgot you could write, ideas that don't need permission to exist. Even your laughter sounds different, more spontaneous, less careful. This is the part of you that never disappeared. It simply waited, patiently, for the moment you would finally have space to hear it. Libra, you are not reinventing yourself. You are remembering how it feels to explore without an outcome, to be curious without justification, to move toward joy without explaining why it matters. There is something deeply healing about this stage, because it restores trust in your instincts, trust in your timing, trust in the way your life wants to unfold. You begin to realize that not everything meaningful arrives through effort. Some things arrive through alignment. And alignment feels like ease, like playfulness, like interest returning, where exhaustion once lived. You are no longer forcing growth, you are allowing it. And this is why things feel more fluid now, more open, more alive. You adapt more easily. You respond instead of react. You give yourself permission to experiment, to shift, to change your mind. There is no guilt attached to this curiosity, only relief. Because for the first time in a long while, your life does not feel like a performance. It feels like a conversation between who you were and who you are becoming. And here is something important to notice. This rediscovery is not random. It is preparing you. When you reconnect with this part of yourself, your choices change. Your standards rise quietly. Your sense of direction sharpens without urgency. You begin to feel where you belong, not intellectually, but energetically. And that feeling, it will guide you more accurately than any plan ever could. Stay present with this version of yourself, the one that is curious again, the one that feels lighter in their own skin, the one that no longer needs to be defined by what they endured. Because as you step more fully into this renewed energy, the outer world begins to respond in ways that match who you are now, not who you were trying to be. And soon you will notice that what you are becoming is quietly reshaping the path ahead before you even realize it has begun. Just keep listening. Libra. As you stand more firmly in who you are becoming, something deeper begins to shift beneath the surface. It may not announce itself right away. There is no dramatic moment, no loud sign, but you start to sense it in the way your days rearrange themselves, in the way certain paths no longer call to you, in the quiet certainty that says this no longer fits the life I am growing into. Your direction is changing now, not because you are lost, but because you are finally clear. You may notice it at work first. The role you once accepted without question starts to feel too small, or too narrow, or simply misaligned with the depth you now carry. You are no longer satisfied with just doing. You want to shape, to guide, to influence outcomes instead of reacting to them. This is not ambition born from ego. It is authority born from experience. You have learned too much to keep standing where your voice is optional. You have seen enough to keep working inside systems that drain your spirit. So your energy reorganizes itself. Naturally, intelligently, you begin to think more strategically. You see patterns others miss. You understand timing, leverage, positioning in ways that feel instinctive rather than forced. And with that clarity comes something else. Boundaries, not walls, not defensiveness, just a calm knowing of where you end and where others begin. You stop over-explaining. You stop negotiating your worth. You stop saying yes to things that cost you your peace. This is the version of you that knows exactly what you bring to the table and is no longer afraid to choose the table. Libra, this is an upgrade, even if it feels unfamiliar. Because growth does not always feel expansive at first. Sometimes it feels like pressure, like responsibility, like being asked to hold more weight than before. But notice how different this weight feels. It does not drain you, it grounds you. You are stepping into a role that requires discernment, clarity, leadership of self before leadership of others. And the world responds to that frequency. People begin to see you differently, not as someone who keeps the balance for everyone else, but as someone whose presence stabilizes the room. Opportunities shift to meet you at this level, not rushed, not chaotic, measured, intentional, aligned. You are no longer proving yourself. You are positioning yourself. And that distinction changes everything. There may still be moments of doubt. That is natural. Anytime you move into unfamiliar authority, the mind asks questions. But beneath those questions, your intuition is steady, clear, unshaken. You know you are not abandoning your old self. You are honoring it by allowing it to evolve. Everything you lived through, the compromises, the waiting, the endurance, it all prepared you for this stage. And now that you can see more clearly, you are ready to choose more wisely. Stay present here, Libra. This restructuring is not something you need to force. It is already happening. And as your life takes on this new shape, something else quietly adjusts in response. The kind of connection that meets you at eye level. The kind of partnership that recognizes your authority without threatening it. And that is where the story begins to reveal a different kind of balance. Libra. There is a reason certain connections could not come with you into this version of your life. Not because they were bad, not because you failed, but because they were built for a season that has already passed. You have felt the tension before it broke, those quiet moments where conversations became heavier, where compromise started to feel like self-erasure, where standing your ground felt like starting a war. That kind of friction does not appear without purpose. It shows up when two energies are no longer growing at the same pace. You tried to soften the edges. You tried to meet them halfway. You tried to explain yourself in 100 different ways. But some dynamics are not meant to be repaired. They are meant to be released. And that release does not happen through conflict alone. It happens through clarity. You begin to see where stubbornness replaced curiosity, where immaturity blocked evolution, where no one wanted to bend, yet everyone expected you to carry the balance. Libra, harmony was never supposed to cost you your truth. So when those connections fell out of rhythm, it was not a loss. It was an opening. Because what is coming into your life now moves differently. This next person, this next environment, this next Collaboration. It does not require you to shrink or prove or negotiate your worth. There is an ease to it, a natural flow, a sense of being understood without needing to be explained. They may not think like you, they may not move like you, but somehow the difference feels grounding instead of threatening. Where one of you brings clarity, the other brings warmth. Where one sees the structure, the other sees the possibility. Not competition, complement. You do not feel drained after interacting with them. You feel steadied, centered, seen. And that is how you know this is real balance. Because true balance does not ask you to disappear. It allows both sides to remain whole. Libra, this is the kind of connection that respects your boundaries without challenging your authority. The kind that listens not to respond, but to understand. The kind that does not fear your growth because they are secure in their own. This applies to love, to friendship, to work, to any space where energy is exchanged. You are no longer meant to fight for harmony. You are meant to inhabit it. And the moment you stop trying to fix what resists you, you make room for what aligns with you. That is the quiet miracle happening here. You may not see it fully yet, but you can feel it. The absence of tension, the relief in your chest, the way your nervous system finally exhales. This is what happens when you no longer confuse intensity with connection, when you choose resonance over repetition. And as this new balance begins to settle into your life, something else shifts within you. Your expectations change, your standards refine. Your heart becomes selective without becoming closed. You start recognizing alignment instantly, and misalignment even faster. That awareness will guide you now, because the people and opportunities entering your life next are not here to challenge your worth. They are here to meet it. And once that recognition clicks into place, you will understand why every imbalance before this had to fall away. Stay with me. There is more unfolding just beyond this moment. Libra, there is a subtle movement around you now, not loud, not rushed, but intentional. You may feel it before you understand it, a sense that something is drawing closer, like footsteps you cannot yet see but somehow recognize. This is not coincidence, this is convergence. An opening is forming in your path. It does not arrive as pressure, it arrives as possibility. A conversation that feels different, an invitation that lingers in your thoughts, a door you never imagined was meant for you standing quietly ajar. And here is the strange part. They see you already. Before you speak, before you prove anything, before you explain your story. They recognize the depth you carry, the steadiness in your presence, the quiet authority you do not announce but embody. While you stand there asking yourself, am I ready for this? Am I enough for this? They are wondering how you do, not see it yet. Libra, the hesitation you feel is not fear of failure. It is unfamiliar confidence knocking at your door. You have spent so much time earning your place that being chosen without struggle feels disorienting. You are not used to being met at eye level without resistance, without friction. So your mind searches for reasons to pause, to question timing, to measure yourself against invisible standards. But listen to the quieter voice beneath the doubt. It is calm, grounded, certain. It knows you have already done the work that qualifies you for what is coming next. The growth, the endurance, the clarity, the boundaries. None of it was wasted. This opportunity, this person, this path is not asking you to become someone else. It is responding to who you already are. You may notice that the energy feels supportive, encouraging without pressure, warm without attachment. There is laughter here, ease, a sense of being welcomed rather than tested. And that alone tells you something important. What approaches you now does not require you to shrink or overextend or negotiate your value. It simply invites you to step forward as you are. Libra, it is okay if you do not feel fully ready. Readiness is often a myth. What matters is alignment, and this feels aligned. Even your body responds differently. Your shoulders soften, your breath deepens. Your heart feels curious instead of guarded. That is how you know this is not another lesson. This is a reward, not handed to you suddenly, but earned quietly over time. So, if you find yourself standing at the edge of something new, resisting the urge to step back, trust that instinct that says, this feels right, even if it scares me. Because sometimes what changes everything is not the leap, but the willingness to be seen. And as you allow yourself to be seen in this way, something deeper begins to unfold within you. A realization, a release, a moment of truth that only arrives when you finally stop questioning your worth. Stay close now. The next shift does not come from outside of you. It rises from within. Libra. There is a moment in every life when the body speaks louder than the mind, not through words, through exhaustion. And if you are here now, listening to this, you know exactly what that moment feels like. It is not dramatic. It is not explosive. It is quiet. A deep weariness that settles into your bones. A heaviness that no amount of logic can lift. A knowing that says, I cannot carry this anymore. You tried, longer than most people would. You gave patience more chances than it deserved. You kept hoping things would soften, that effort would be met, that love would finally feel full. But Libra. Empty hope drains faster than pain, and eventually even the strongest heart reaches a point where survival becomes honesty. This is the moment you stopped fighting the truth, not in anger, not in bitterness, but in clarity. The moment you whispered to yourself, I am done. Accepting less just to keep things familiar. That sentence, whether you spoke it out loud or not, changed everything. Because life listens closely when you finally mean what you say. You may have thought you were walking away from something, a situation, a person, a version of your life. But what you were really doing was making room. Room for breath. Room for rest. Room for healing that does not require endurance. Libra, miracles rarely arrive when we are still negotiating our pain. They arrive when we release the need to be strong and choose to be true. And that is what you did. You did not give up. You gave in to what your soul had been asking for all along. Relief does not always feel like joy at first. Sometimes it feels like numbness, like stillness, like the absence of struggle. But beneath that quiet, something begins to stitch itself back together. Your nervous system calms, your heart stops bracing for impact, your spirit finally rests, and then slowly life responds. Not with another test, not with another demand, but with softness, with an offering that feels different, cleaner, kinder, something that does not need to be chased, something that does not ask you to prove your worth before receiving it. This is not coincidence, Libra. This is compensation, not in the way the world usually defines it, but in the way the soul recognizes immediately. What approaches you now carries a different frequency. It does not drain you, it restores you. It does not confuse you, it reassures you. And that is how you know this is not another lesson disguised as a blessing. This is a blessing that waited until you were ready to receive it. You had to reach the edge of your endurance to understand what you will never accept again. You had to feel empty to recognize what truly fills you. And now, standing in this quieter space, you are finally able to see what has been quietly preparing to meet you. Stay with this feeling, do not rush it. Because what comes next does not enter through force. It arrives through resonance. And as you allow yourself to rest here, something meaningful begins to take shape just beyond the horizon, ready to meet you where you truly are. Libra. There is a calm settling in now. Not excitement, not anticipation. Just a quiet sense of rightness. You may recognize it the moment it arrives, that feeling where your shoulders drop without you telling them to, where your breath deepens because nothing inside you is bracing anymore. This is what alignment feels like. Not fireworks, not chaos disguised as passion, but ease. You step into a room, or into a role, or into a connection, and something inside you says, I do not have to perform here. You are not shrinking to fit. You are not stretching to impress. You are simply present, and everything flows. The conversations feel natural. The energy moves smoothly. Decisions make sense without forcing logic to justify them. This is not just about love, and it is not just about work. It is about belonging, the kind that does not need to be earned, the kind that recognizes you immediately because it was always meant to meet you at this stage of your life. Libra, this is what you were walking toward even when it felt like you were walking away. Every door that closed, every space that rejected you, every situation that made you question your place was quietly guiding you here. To the place where your presence is valued, not tolerated. To the environment where your voice carries weight without needing to be loud. To the connection where effort is mutual and respect is assumed. You did not miss your moment. You were being positioned for it. That is why nothing before this could fully hold you. That is why the old spaces felt tighter with time. That is why staying became harder than leaving. You were not being pushed out. You were being guided forward. And now you arrive somewhere that meets you as you are now. Not who you used to be, not who you were trying to become, but who you have grown into through every difficult choice. This is the balance you were seeking all along. Not the balance that asks you to sacrifice yourself, but the balance that supports your weight and allows you to stand fully in your truth. You no longer feel the need to explain your worth. You no longer feel the urge to prove your value. You simply are, and the world responds accordingly. Libra, this is the reward of listening to yourself, even when it was uncomfortable, of choosing honesty over familiarity, of trusting that losing what was wrong would make space for what was right. So if you are standing here now, feeling steadier, feeling clearer, feeling quietly hopeful, trust that. This is not a pause, this is a landing. And as you settle into this new place, this new rhythm, this new sense of belonging, know that you did not arrive by accident. You arrived because you were brave enough to walk away when it mattered, and patient enough to wait for what truly fit. Stay open. Stay grounded, because this is not the end of the story. It is the moment where everything finally begins to make sense. Libra, before you go, stay with this feeling just a little longer. Because what you've been listening to is not just a message, it's a reminder that you were never being pushed away to be lost. You were being guided so you could finally arrive where you truly belong. If something in this story touched you, if your chest softened, if your mind went quiet for a moment, that is not an accident. That is your intuition recognizing truth. And I want you to remember this as you move forward. You don't need to force alignment. You don't need to chase validation. The right spaces, the right people, the right timing meet you naturally when you trust yourself enough to walk away from what no longer fits. If this message felt personal, leave a comment below and tell me where you're listening from, or simply write, "I trust myself now." That small act matters more than you think. If you felt seen here, take a second to like this video. It helps this message reach another Libra who may need it tonight. And if you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, this journey doesn't end here. The next message is already forming, and it carries a new layer of clarity just for you. Until then, Libra, be gentle with yourself. Stand where your soul feels steady, and trust this quiet knowing inside you. You are exactly where you're meant to be.